Hello everyone. This should be a short one because I only want to focus on the EFB today. It was the most promising feature the developers announced, and it almost lives up to the hype. I say almost because some aspects of it are confusing to me, and maybe someone out there can help explain these design choices. Let's ignore the obvious bugs like maximum weight not respected, settings not saved, or some fields not working sometimes, because although those are stupid bugs that should have been caught during QC, they are easy fixes. And by easy fixes I mean they weren't able to do it for Sim Update 1, but I'm sure they will fix it before December. What threw me off was that it took me several days and a half a dozen flights to realize that the payload options and fuel option screens are actually not loading my aircraft with people, cargo, or in fact fuel. I found out accidentally from a video I watched for completely different reasons that I have to click on the airplane icon, click on flight performances, click on mass and balance, and then I can fill the seats, click to load in aircraft, and after that I have to click again to fill the fuel tanks, and then click on load in aircraft. I have several questions. I'm still not 100% sure what the empty tab does because the weight calculations are broken. I know it sets the center of gravity, and I'm guessing if I move the slider, the fat ones will sit in the front or the back, or the boxes of pillows get loaded in the front and the boxes of rocks in the back, but it's hard to tell. So what exactly do the payload options and fuel options screen do if I can't load the aircraft from here? Sure, it calculates weights, but if I have to go to another screen anyway, then why separate them with 4 clicks? If I get the number from one, and then I have to remember them and go to a different tab, going back and forth to get the numbers is tedious. Why is the map included in these two screens when they have absolutely no relation to where the fat kit sits or where I put my box of feather dusters in the cargo bay? Why not include the loading functions here since all the other flight planning related actions are already here? How should I have known that flight performances is the logical umbrella term for seating and cargo arrangements? Or is it like the Shift C that was deemed too essential to explain, while the press tab for EFB instructions must be constantly displayed in walk-around mode? And not that it's too useful at the moment, but the environment option, which obviously refers to landing and takeoff distance calculations, can also be a side icon for the flight planning phase. And why only the cruise speed was deemed relevant to include on this screen? Now, maybe it's just me, but actual performance figures like range, service ceiling, takeoff and landing distance, or payload capacity just feels like more useful data. I know tutorials and help screens are so 2010s, but that implies that the user interface is intuitive. I would be remiss not to mention that on the plane selection screen I can refuel the plane, but for the payload stuff I am still redirected to the EFB, so clearly there is communication between these two screens, which makes me question the design choices further. But it gets worse, because the ini-built planes have their own EFB, which manage to do the same thing in the intuitive way. It would be still nice if the game made it clear where should the user manage the payload if there are multiple competing interfaces handling the weights in the aircraft. So there you have it. That's my quick take on the new electronic flight bag, which is still a very nice tool with a few kinks to iron out besides the obvious functionality bugs. See you next time.